And we ring our bell and light our candle to remember Christ's Spirit that lives within us all. And now if you'll speak with me our opening statement, you'll find that on the inside of your bulletin, and we'll say it together. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God, the good, omnipotent. Now let's take just a moment as we ease into our seats and become comfortable and take that truth within. And now let's affirm it together once more. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God, the good, omnipotent. And so it is. Our songs this morning will be led by Ron, accompanied by Jeff.
Good morning. Would you please stand? We'll sing Surely the Presence, which is right inside your front cover. Surely the presence of our God is in this place. I can feel his mighty power and his grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on his face. Surely the presence of our God is in this place. Surely the presence of our God is in this place. I can feel her mighty power and her grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on his face. Surely the presence of our God is in this place. Number 6, please. Number 6. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first word. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for the springing, fresh from the word. Sweet the rains do fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where his feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, moon of the woodlight, Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day. Number 122. 122, please. Love, love, love is the answer. Love is the answer. Love is the way. Love, love, love is the answer. Love is the answer. Love is the seated.
Good morning, one and all. Welcome to Unity of Kanawha Valley. Do we have any first-time visitors this morning? Hi, Ryan, would you care to introduce our visitor? We know you. You've been here.
Claire Sweeney,
Claire?
Nickel Harpa, and Shepherdess.
Okay. Welcome, Claire. Welcome to Unity. Let's give her a warm Unity welcome. We're glad you're here. And we can't wait to see you play this monster. Okay. We have quite a few announcements this morning, so I'll try to be quick so we can enjoy some music, extra music. Thursday night, the book study group will be on Zoom at 8 o'clock, and the group is discussing lessons in truth. So Friday, March 10th is Ron Soul's open mic. Our own Ron Soul will be hosting open mic, right? Yeah. So come out and enjoy a fun evening with your friends. Tuesday, March 21st is the Board of Trustees meeting here at Unity at 5:30. If you're on the board, you know you need to do that. And the Unravel group is Tuesday, March 28th at 5:15. It meets again. Contact Barbie Dahlman right there with her hand up, and she will direct you on what to do. Unity is collecting luggage and backpacks for the Davis Children's Shelter. We appreciate Dewey's efforts in getting those over to the shelter, and you can leave those here, and Dewey will pick them up. And as well, Sojourner Shelter is in need of deodorant, new towels, new washcloths, and all kinds of wipes. And Danny will be your point person to tell you where you can get those really cheap washcloths. Where? All right, there's your deal. Thanks, Danny. For what? Oh, yeah. I'll go get some of those. Good things cheap like that. And you've even got the leprechaun hat on, so you kind of look like that little guy. Oh, do you? Okay. We are a tithing church, and we give 10% of our offerings to a different charity each month. And this month, that goes to the West Virginia Child Advocacy Network. So we appreciate their help. Our Kate Black, I believe, is in charge of that, and I know she will appreciate that too. The rest of the announcements is on the bottom of the thing, your bulletin. This thing right here. Pam wants me to say that the Mudlarks, who are here today, and we can't wait to hear them later on, but they have CDs for sale in the Lending Library, so you'll have to check that out. And she also wants me to say that Mountain Stage is 40 years old, almost as old as me. And Ron has been with them from the very beginning. And also, Ron has been here for almost 30 years. You were 10 when you started coming here.
And I'm only 26. I don't know.
How's that work? I don't know. Thank you, Ron. All right. Thank you for that. Kent and CJ, I know you're watching us on Zoom. We miss you. Let's see. Now, Kim has an announcement, and then Janet has something to say, so I'll let Kim come up first. You stay right there.
Thank you, Peggy. I'm going to be in a concert May 14th in Hurricane, West Virginia at Forest Burdette, 7 o'clock on Tuesday. So if you guys aren't busy on Tuesday night, it'll be fun. It doesn't cost anything. You can give a donation if you want, but you don't have to. And it'll be fun. We've been there 35 years. I haven't, but it's been in business 35 years, or however you want to say that. Anyway, it'll be a lot of fun. You guys take care. Thank you.
this gets too slick for you, we'll see.
Peggy, Bobby, Lisa, try it again.
Just a minute. Just a minute. Okay, try that, Peggy. Check. Check. We got all there. All.
Oh, yay. Kim, you broke the mic. So your concert, you said you were going to be performing. So are you going to be dancing or singing or playing the violin? Okay, thank you. That would be fun. I'd like to see that. Okay, Janet, your turn. I feel like a traffic cop up here this morning.
Thank you. Sky always says every week that he's here, he says prayer is an essential part of what we do here at Unity of Kanawha Valley. And that is true. However, Unity prayer might be a little bit different than what you grew up with. So the prayer chaplain team is putting together an affirmative prayer workshop on Sunday, March 26th. It will be after the service. That's 3 weeks from today. I talked to Stephen. The church is going to provide lunch for us. It will be a light lunch, but still, so you don't have to run out. There will be food provided. But we are going to ask you to sign up for this so that we have enough food. So I'm going to pass this around, and anyone who wants to be there, just sign it. If you don't want to be there, just pass it on. And I also am going to ask Laura to come up. Laura is part of our prayer chaplain team. And I would like for her to just give you a little bit about her experience of being on the prayer chaplain team and what prayer has meant for her.
Thank you, Janet. Unity prayer is powerful. It's so much different than any experience of prayer I've ever had anywhere, and it lands in a special place in my heart where it feels right and good and powerful. My experience was being a prayer chaplain was Janet inviting me to take training. And I thought, well, I could take the training and then maybe we'll see. And I did see. Putting it as briefly as I can, because we have some good music to look forward to. Sky says something when he's here. He says, put your hand on your heart and say, this is my heart. Through it, I am connected to my source, to my neighbor, and to myself. I'm learning to trust it in all things, and I am grateful. And that's what being a prayer chaplain is. It's this deep, profound connection to source, to all of you here, to the people we call every month, to whoever calls in and requests prayer. And you build this connection, and you build this inner strength and your spiritual walk. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Anybody who's interested at all, just to hear a little bit more about it and experience affirmative prayer, please come, because truly it is a profound and deep connection on your spiritual walk.
Thank you, Laura. I left my cheat sheet up here. So what's next? Alexa. Thanks, Ron.
As we go into a time of prayer, if it feels right, you can close your eyes or soften your gaze and take a deep breath. Breathing in renewal, light and love, and exhaling all that you no longer need. Letting go on the exhale. Breathing in healing energy. Letting go with the exhale, gently, slowly. Follow that breath into your heart space where you are connected to your source. You can feel that connection to the center of your being, that unlimited connection. Every cell of your body radiates light and love. As we tap into the infinite connection to the divine from this place, we send love to our body, our mind, our spirit. We send love to our neighbors. We send love to our community and across the world, seeing all lifted up in divine love, holding a vision of this radiant, healing energy. We are so grateful as our thoughts and words are lifted up. We say thank you as we receive this day in its fullness, and as we live life in the present moment, one breath at a time. We say thank you, thank you, thank you for this life, to be in this world, connected to each other with love. And so it is. Amen.
The daily reading for today is Dominion, March the 5th, 2023. I claim dominion and direct the course of my life. While I may not be able to control what happens in my life, I am always free to determine how I will respond. Through my divine faculty of dominion, I decide what to think, what to say, and how to act. If a thought of fear or powerlessness arises, I remember all the wisdom, understanding, and strength of God are within me. Whether I'm organizing my day or moving forward after making a life-altering decision, the principle of dominion is always mine to claim. Knowing this, I move through life with quiet confidence. I am secure in myself and in the knowledge that I am a divine being. I claim dominion and feel my life expand into a field of limitless possibility and potential. And from Psalms 8:6, you have given them dominion over the works of your hands. You have put all things under their feet. This week in Charleston, there's an event you're probably aware of that's going on. It's called Celtic Calling. And we have a real treat this morning in that we were able to divert the mudlarks, hold them over for an extra day to come and share their music with us. And you'll recognize Ryan Kurzak, because Ryan has been a speaker here many times. He's an old friend of Unity. And this is Claire Sweeney. I'll let them describe the instruments they're playing. I will say there are two very unusual instruments that you rarely hear, and as far as I know, you never hear them in this combination. This will be a first time. So anyway, let's give a big hand for the Mudlarks.
So we're the Mudlarks. I'm Ryan. This is Claire. The instruments we're playing, this is a hurdy-gurdy, and this is a nickel harpa. So you might have been familiar with Donovan's hurdy-gurdy man. Well, this is a little bit different than probably what he was talking about. this instrument works in that I have a wheel, and when I turn the wheel, it rubs across these strings, and it bows the strings like a violin does. So it's called a wheel fiddle, and it's nice to be here in the church because the original instruments were used to accompany chants in the early churches in the 1100s. So here we are, full circle. The nyckelharpa is the national instrument of Sweden, right? And it's called a keyed fiddle because it has these keys here which push on the strings, and then Claire bows it like sort of like a violin. And anyway, this is, I don't know how we found these instruments really in West Virginia and how we found each other, but here we are. And we're going to play some tunes for you. And the first tune is called The Sheep Waltz. I mentioned that Claire was a shepherdess. Well, she works on the WVU Organic Sheep Farm. So she likes sheep, and this is a tune that she wrote. So this next tune we're going to do is a tune called Jasmine in the Summertime. This is just a little melody that came out one summer when I was staying with my hurdy-gurdy, and it's on the CD that we have out there, Autumn Equinox, Standing Stones, but this is, again, a tune I wrote. And I think it's fairly meditative, so if you're listening and you're you're really into it, just close your eyes and kind of get into the simplicity of the melody.
Wow, that was amazing. Let's give them another round of applause. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Ryan. So unusual. We never know what we're going to come into when we get here, do we? Well, this morning our speaker is Megan Lyon. Megan has been a long-standing member, participant. She just shows up whenever we need her, and we love her so much. She has a wealth of wisdom. She's a spiritual director, and I'm sure everyone here knows her and loves her, but please give her a warm unity welcome, Megan.
Get myself set up here. Oh. Good morning. Thank you all so much for being here today, whether you're online, which I don't know which camera to wave to, but wherever you are, or, okay, that one, hi, or whether you're here in person. I'm just grateful to be in the energy of my Unity family. What a gift. And thank you for that music. Oh my gosh. I'm fine to just sit down and let them go ahead and keep going. I'm going to share with you in just a moment why this is such an amazing synchronicity that we have the Mudlarks with us here today. As you hear a little bit more about my topic today, that will become more clear. So at the end of April, I'm going to be embarking on a spiritual pilgrimage to the Isle of Iona in Scotland. Are we getting the synchronicity yet? Like, really? And so those of you who know me well and know how much I love to fly, joke there, sarcasm, know that this is a really big deal for me. And so I thought it would be really interesting to share with you a little bit as I prepare to go on this journey. And then I'm hoping, Peggy has some control in this, that sometime when I get back, I can share with you all about what happened on the journey. So maybe sometime in the summer, I'll get to do that. I would love to have that come full circle, and you guys will be a part of my journey. So this is the truth. When I decided to talk on this spiritual pilgrimage that I'm going on, I had no clue, and I don't know how. I never seem to know what's going on in Charleston. I don't know why, but I had no clue that the Celtic Calling Gathering was happening. So, wow, obviously it was meant for me to talk about this today. So I want to share a little bit about why I have this heart's desire to go to this little island in Scotland, and then a little bit about what you might consider if you decide to take your own spiritual pilgrimage. So 6 years ago this month, I was introduced to Celtic spirituality. Some of you all know I am on the faculty at Hayden Institute, and at the time I was a student there in the spiritual direction training program. And it was my very last intensive where we were getting ready to graduate, and I found out the theme was Celtic spirituality. And I mean, I'm from Appalachia. We talk about Celtic spirituality from time to time, so it wasn't that unfamiliar to me. But to be honest, I wasn't that excited about it. I didn't have a lot of expectancy. I just thought, okay, that sounds good. And then the speaker started to share about Celtic spirituality. So that weekend, these are some of the things that I heard about. I heard the speakers talking about the characteristics that show up in Celtic spirituality. One is the deep reverence of the earth and all her inhabitants, especially animals and nature, and just really experiencing a sense of awe and wonder at all of creation. Then I learned about how ancient Celtic spirituality had a love of creativity and music and poetry and storytelling, and how that was such an important part of that tradition. I learned about how the Celtic people experienced the sacred in the ordinary, even in the sweeping of the floor, in the sitting and watching a bird fly by. They were really in touch with the sacredness of everything. I learned about their devotion to silence and solitude, their attention to sacred time, what they called thin places, or kairos time, where the veil between the physical and the spiritual world is very thin, palpable experiences with the holy. And I learned about the prevalence in that culture of the anamkara, which are soul friends, people that are deep listeners, that others know they can come to and sit with and share their journeys and share their hearts, and there's that open space for that. And I don't know if any of you all know what I do for a living, so that was kind of cool to find out that that was part of their culture. I also learned how they truly honored the feminine. There wasn't this divide, this masculine energies here and feminine energies here. There was a true reverence for the divine feminine. And it showed up in real ways. There were many women who were in leadership in the church. And there was a reverence for the goddesses. It was just as likely that people would pray to the goddesses or revere the goddesses as they would to Jesus. And so that really spoke to me because it's missing. It's missing in our culture. I also found out about their love of whimsical numbers, which those of you who know me well know that I am in love with palindromes, numbers that are the same backwards and forwards. And the Celtic people saw the messages in numbers. They saw just little, whether you call them synchronicities, God winks, they saw where the divine showed up in those experiences, like 1111 and 101 and 202, whatever it might be. They saw that. They also had a love of circles. And there were lots of ways that showed up, but the one that really spoke to me the most is that they gathered in circles. So instead of, I'm not trying to say anything about unity here, okay, but instead of gathering in rows, okay, or in pews or whatever it may be, they gathered in a circle as a representation of the fact that they were acknowledging the non-hierarchical way that they came together in community, where they may have leaders, but the leaders weren't on top and everybody else paid attention to the leaders. Everybody had a part, everybody had a voice. We talk about in the Artist's Way, I read with my groups, we read the Sacred Circle rules. And one of the things they say in that set of rules is that we never know which among us will teach us best. So there was space for everyone to be heard and everyone to be a teacher and everyone to be a learner. So everybody could participate fully and share their gifts and receive gifts from others. And I also learned that they had a willingness to grieve. They were willing to be with despair and pain and whatever emotions came up for them, but they also had a sense of humor. So there was that balance. They were willing to feel their feelings. They didn't see emotions as weaknesses or problems, just part of the human experience. So as I was listening to these attributes of the Celtic people, there was a stirring in my heart. I almost came out of my seat. I wanted to just stand up and yell, "These are my people! These are my people!" And like most native West Virginians and people from Appalachia in general, I have a lot of Scots-Irish in my ancestry. And I hope to one day have evidence of what my heart already knows, which is that the ancient Celtic people are quite literally my people. I just know it. I feel it. So I'd like to share a brief history with you all of Celtic spirituality. And I want to say that sometimes when I talk about the brain and how it affects the nervous system, and I always apologize to the scientist in the room because I'm probably butchering the science. So I'm about to apologize to the historians in the room. I'm really sorry. You're welcome to come up and tell me where I'm getting this wrong if you're a Celtic historian. And if you're interested in a deeper dive, you may want to read John Philip Newell's book, Listening for the Heartbeat of God. He really shares a lot about the history of the Celtic tradition. So here's my distilled version. By the 17th century, a deep split had come into the Catholic Church in Europe, the split between Celtic spirituality and Roman spirituality. And so just to give you a kind of basic idea of what was the difference between the two, Roman Christianity believed that the way to God is through church. You experience God through the sacraments and scripture, and the priest acts as an intermediary between you and the holy. So you need that priest, that presence there to help you to reach God. But in Celtic spirituality, they believed that God is found everywhere and in everything, that we all have access to the holy, that we're born with that access and it never leaves us. So we don't have to have an intermediary because there's no need for hierarchy. Everyone has equal access to the divine. There's a song some of you may know by Peter Mayer called Holy Now that does a beautiful job of showing the juxtaposition between those two traditions, the Roman and the Celtic. And I don't know if he meant to do that, but it just turned out that way beautifully. I'm going to read you the words. He sings, "When I was a boy each week, Sunday we would go to church, pay attention to the priest, and he would read the holy word, consecrate the holy bread, everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now." When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two and Jesus made the water wine. I remember feeling sad. Miracles don't happen still, but now I can't keep track because everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small. An even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. This morning outside I stood, I saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush and singing like a scripture verse. Made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then, because everything is holy now. Beginning in the 7th century and still happening now, Roman Christianity overpowered Celtic Christianity, and the Celtic way of being began to wane. But you can hear in Peter Mayer's words a movement back to that Celtic way of being. And that's partly because even after that split took place, there were little pockets of places and people that still quietly honored the Celtic traditions. One of them is in Charleston, West Virginia this weekend. So I'm grateful for that we have continued that tradition. And another one of those places was a little island in Scotland called Iona. In the 6th century, a Celtic church was established in Iona, and remnants of that Celtic tradition remain there today. So there are people all over the world that are drawn to this little island because the divine energy that continues to dwell there. It's seen as a holy place, a sacred site, a place that people can journey to often as a spiritual pilgrimage. So I want to talk a little bit about the difference between going on a trip or going on vacation and going on a spiritual pilgrimage. So we have a lot of reasons why we might go on a trip. Sometimes we might want to go and just have some rest and relaxation. We might want to visit family and friends. We may just want some fun and adventure in our lives, or to eat some really good food. And we might, oftentimes it's to see beautiful things, beautiful places, or to immerse ourselves in culture. But the intention of a spiritual pilgrimage is different. A spiritual pilgrimage is about taking an outer journey that encourages an inner transformation. So in 2018, when I trained to become a labyrinth facilitator, our teacher, Lauren Artris, taught us that as we walk the labyrinth, to view everything we experience as a metaphor. So most of you probably know what a labyrinth is, but just very quickly. So it's a path that's usually on the ground in bricks or stones or maybe the grass. And it looks like a maze, but it's not, because there's only one path into the center and one path out. And so she taught us that as we walk the labyrinth, just to notice if you're walking and you start feeling really lost, like, oh, maybe I went the wrong way, to just sit and reflect. Are there places in my life where I'm feeling lost? Maybe if you feel like you're close to the center and then the path moves you way back out to the edges again, you may stop and say, ooh, are there places where I feel like I'm almost there, but now I'm back at square one? So to take time to be with the metaphors of that experience. Taking a pilgrimage has that same kind of energy, being willing to use all your experiences as a metaphor for your life. The Latin root word for pilgrimage means strange, which makes sense because a pilgrim is often about being willing to be a stranger in a strange land, which was the name of one of my favorite books in high school. But that idea of being willing to show up and not knowing the land, not knowing how it will all work out, being willing to show up in that. In her book, The Soul of a Pilgrim, Christine Wolters-Paetner, director of the Abbey of Arts, describes it this way. She says, pilgrimage is an archetypal experience, meaning that the metaphor of journey for the spiritual life is found across time and traditions. Is there a greater adventure than plunging into our own depths and uncovering what the mystics have told us for centuries? The heart of God beating within our own. She goes on to write, pilgrimage calls us to be attentive to the divine at work in our lives through deep listening, patience, opening ourselves to the gifts that arise in the midst of discomfort, and going out to our own inner wild edges to explore new frontiers. So perhaps you may be interested in planning your own spiritual pilgrimage. So I'm going to give you a few suggestions you might want to think about if you decide to do that. The first thing I suggest you do is to sit down and ask your inner guide, where does my soul want to go? See where you're being drawn. It may be a place that is known by many as a holy place, but it also may be a place that's only known to you as holy. It took me a long time to realize that I've been going on a pilgrimage for years without even knowing that's what I was doing. So many of you have heard about my rock. There's a big rock that I discovered nearly 15 years ago, right on the edge of the North Fork of the Blackwater River in northern West Virginia, that I visit at least yearly, and more often if I'm able to. So each time I show up to that rock, it's like a reunion of sorts. I leave enough time to make sure I can have time to lie on it, to meditate on it, to open myself up to messages and mysteries that come when I'm there, to sit in quiet contemplation on its surface, just listening to the water bubbling by or watching butterflies float by. And every time I visit, it's like returning home to myself in a sense. And each time before I leave, and Danielle has told me I shouldn't tell people this, but here you go. Each time before I leave, I'm always sure to bow down and kiss it goodbye, promising to return and see it again soon. So your pilgrimage doesn't have to be across the oceans. It doesn't have to be the most sought-out location in the world. It can be a little place in your backyard, or a park that's just down the street, or any place where you feel drawn, where you can feel the vibration of the divine. As you begin to plan for your pilgrimage, the next suggestion I give is to pack lightly, to carry only what is most essential. We may find that things we thought we could not live without have to be left behind. There's just not space for it. We learn to simplify through this process. We become really clear about how little we truly need to connect with Spirit. And as you near your journey, the next step is to be willing to step into the mystery of the unknown, to be uncomfortable. I feel like I've been on a journey of learning to be uncomfortable for the past several years. To be fully open to whatever you encounter. And this requires a lot of surrender. It requires loose agendas and a lot of spaciousness on your journey, because rigid schedules leave little space for spontaneity and delight and unexpected discoveries. It also requires seeing each challenge that you face or discomfort you experience as an opportunity to learn about yourself, to expand and to grow. Parker Palmer suggests that when things get difficult, turn to wonder. When the flight is delayed, when the hotel room reeks of mildew, when you realize you forgot to bring the one thing you really, really wanted to have with you, you can turn to wonder. I wonder why this frustrates me so much. I wonder why I'm attached to that. I wonder what this is teaching me about myself. I wonder what the bigger message is here. I wonder how I'm being called to expand or to stretch in this situation. And lastly, while we journey, we commit to gathering up all the experiences, all the encounters, the insights we have to take them home with us. Perhaps we'll keep a journal or write poetry along the way, take photos or create art. Whatever is helpful in collecting those sacred moments on the journey. When I first began my journey of Vipassana meditation, I learned that those 20 minutes on the mat are important and helpful, but they're not actually the purpose of the practice. The true purpose is to take the awareness gained in that 20 minutes of sitting, the deep connection to presence, and carry it into everyday life, to bring deep presence into each moment of our lives. And I believe the same is true of a pilgrimage. The experience of the journey is such a beautiful gift. And yet the real gift is collecting all of those sacred moments and allowing them to expand your understanding of yourself, of the divine, of life and living long after you return from your travels. I'd like to end with a poem by Christine Wolters-Paintner, a poem where I believe she does a beautiful job distilling the process of a modern-day pilgrimage. It's called How to Be a Pilgrim. Air travel is like ancient pilgrims walking on their knees. Flight delays and narrow seats offer their own kind of penance. You jettison excess baggage, leaving behind the heavy makeup case, knowing the rain will wash you free of artifice. Books you wanted to carry left too. No more outside words needed. Then go old beliefs which keep you taut and twisted inside. Blistered feet stumble over rocky fields covered with wildflowers, and you realize this is your life, full of sharp stones and color. Red-breasted robins call forth the song already inside. 100 griefs break open under dark clouds and downpour. Rise and fall of elation and exhaustion, the tides a calendar of unfolding. A bright star rises, and you remember a loved one waiting miles away. A new hunger is kindled by the sight of cows nursing calves in a field. Spying a spotted pony, you forget the weight and seriousness of things. Salmon swim across the Atlantic, up the River Corrib's rapids to the wide lake, and you wonder if you have also been called here for death and birth. This is why we journey, to retrieve our lost intimacy with the world. Every creature a herald of poems that sleep in streams and stones. Missing you, scrawled on a postcard sent home. But you don't follow with, wish you were here. This is a voyage best made alone. As I prepare to embark on my pilgrimage to Iona in a few short weeks, it feels like a reclaiming of sorts, a reclaiming of a spirituality that has always been within me but often feels forgotten by the world. A reclaiming of deep love and reverence of this sacred earth, a reclaiming of the divine feminine, a reclaiming of simplicity and silence and spaciousness and a connection with something deep within myself. And my prayer for each of you is that you continue journeying on your own unique path, leading you to that which is sacred for you over and over again. Thank you all for letting me share my journey with you. I'm going to do a short meditation with us. So if you would like to, if it feels comfortable, you might close your eyes, or soften your gaze, or whatever helps you to come into center. And perhaps taking a few deep breaths into your belly and releasing fully. Allowing your body to relax. Noticing the sensations in your body. Feeling yourself present in this moment. And now, if you'd like and it feels safe, perhaps imagining yourself boarding a ship and taking off from the shore, heading out on a pilgrimage. Seeing yourself moving slowly further and further away from the shore. Perhaps you are now in the middle of a vast ocean. Look below at the waves rippling above the depth of the ocean. Look above you at the sun shining on you. Not knowing exactly where you're going, not knowing exactly what you will encounter, but knowing you will be transformed by the journey. That the journey is allowing you to return ever more deeply to yourself. Feeling yourself surrendering sensing that your boat will carry you wherever you need to go. Sensing that you are never alone on this journey. You are always loved and supported by a holy presence. Standing on the deck of your ship with a sense of wonder and expectancy. Feeling yourself moving to exactly where you are meant to go, wave by wave by wave by wave. These words from Hafiz bubbling up in you. This place where you are right now, God circled on a map for you. This place where you are right now, God circled on a map for you. Yes, your soul knows this to be true. Resting in that knowing. May peace, insight, and unexpected joys follow you on your journey. Amen.
The ushers come forward. And we can say together our offering blessing on page 2, number 2. Divine love moving in and through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love, I trust God, and I am grateful.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, and also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies crying, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I Jesus, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Ron told me to dance a jig, so that
Thank you, Brooke.
Mother, Father, God, we are so grateful for these offerings. We are so grateful to be together today. We are so grateful for this beautiful place we call Unity of Kanawha Valley. Grateful that it continues to thrive and grow in person and on Zoom and across the world. We are so grateful that our hearts and our minds are lifted up as we go out on this day, and so it is. Amen. And we can now rise for our peace circle and our birthday songs.
Boy, that puts a smile on your face, doesn't it? Woo, what a way to start the week. Thank you, Ryan. I forget her name. Claire. Thank you, Claire, so much. Okay, do we have any birthdays? Kate, Sandy has a birthday. When's yours? Friday? Who else? Sandy? What? Okay. And who else did you say? Kate Flack. Happy birthday, Kate. And Kate had a little one had a birthday too, we saw. So, anyone else? Let's sing happy birthday.
God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.